swift rumor has spread through the city from the good news fire. But whether it's true, who knows? Or if it's some god trick. Who is so childish or out of his mind once his heart is inflamed with the news from the beacon fire, to then grow weary once the story changes? It shows a woman's temper to join in praising something good before the truth appears. For the boundary of the female mind is gullible, easily encroached and quick-wayed. But quick faded and swiftly destroyed is all glory that is woman proclaimed.
We will soon know from the beacons, light-bearing, signal fires and fire messages, whether this is true, or like in dreams that this light comes as a pleasure to cheat our minds. But I see a herald approaching from the shore, shaded in olive branches. There is proof in that dust on him, almost mud. He's not going to mime or burn some mountain pine to send smoke signals. He will tell us whether to keep on celebrating. If he says the opposite, I'll hate his words.
Whoever thinks otherwise for the city, let him reap the fruit of his mind's mistake.
Oh, the Argive ground of my fathers. After 10 years I've come back. For many broken hopes, this one has come to pass. For it was beyond my hopes that I might die on Argive's shores and have my funeral here. So now, greetings, land. Greetings, light of the sun. Greetings to the highest in the land, Zeus. And to the Pythian lord, who no longer harms us with his bow's arrows. You were so hostile on the banks of the Scamander. But now you come instead as our savior once again, our healer, Lord Apollo. And to all the assembled gods I call out. And to my honored Hermes, blessed herald, saint of heralds. And to the heroes who sent us, kindly welcome us back. Those survivors that escaped the spear. Oh, halls of kings, my own dear roofs and holy seats. The statues of the gods that face the sun. If ever long ago with shining eyes you received your king, the light is coming, bearing goodwill to all of you alike, Lord Agamemnon. So greet him well and warmly, as is right, since he razed Troy to the ground and chewing up its land with a pickaxe of justice-bearing Zeus, wasted away the unseen altars and all the sanctuaries of the gods and all the seed in the land. The Lord Atreides has put such a yoke around Troy, Lord, esteemed good diamond man, and he's coming now, bearing goodwill to all of you alike. Not Paris, nor his city, could boast that the crime was worth the punishment, but convicted with the charge of rape and theft, Paris lost his plunder, mowed down his own home, his own land, his fatherland, now all destroyed. The Priapides have paid twice for their mistakes.
Hello, herald from the army of the Achaeans.
I greet you, and coming home, I tell the gods I can finally die.
Does your love of country wear you out?
So much so that my eyes weep with joy.
Not an unpleasant illness.
What?
To be struck by desire for those who love you in turn.
You mean the land longed for us? Well, we longed for it.
So much that many times we cried aloud with dark thoughts.
Where has this ill-spirited grief upon your hearts come from?
The best medicine for trouble is to keep quiet.
What? Did you fear someone while the leaders were away?
So much so that, like you said, it would be a great gift to die now.
But all has ended well. One might say of things happening over a long time. Some fell out well, others a bit more unlucky. For who except the gods can go entirely without pain through their whole lives? And if I were to tell of our hardships, ill lodgings, sparse camps, ill covered, what didn't we complain about on any given day? And when we landed, there was even more to hate. The beds beneath enemy walls, the rain dripping from the heaven, the dew seeping from the earth, the constant ruin of our clothes, the lice in our hair. And if I were to tell of the bird-slaughtering winters, the unbearable snows of Mount Ida, or the heat, the wide sea, windless and waveless, as it fell upon its noontime bed and slept. But why must I lament such things? The pain is past now, past for the dead, and for the living, it's past to care about that which will never be again. And for us, those still left of the Argive army, the prize wins. Can't be matched by our pain. Why should I count up the dead? Why should the living lament over fortune's spite? It's time to say goodbye to these many misfortunes. It's time to boast in this bright light of day. Now that we've flown fast over land and sea, the Argive expedition has taken Troy. These spoils are for the gods. Throughout Greece that we set up in temples, our ancient pride. And when you hear this, speak well of the city and its generals. And then the grace of Zeus will honor you. So you have the whole story.
You've won us over. We won't deny it. There is always enough youth left in the old to learn well. And your story will be of interest to the house and to Clytemnestra. You've given me a boost.
I raised the joyful cry ages ago, when the signaling fire first came through the night, and I told of the capture and the desolation of Ilion. And you said to me, insulting me, are you convinced by beacons that Troy has now been sacked? It's just like a woman's heart to be so taken in. You thought I was out of my mind, but I went on sacrificing, and the women in their way spread the joyful cry throughout the city. In the shrines of the gods, they laid out sweet-smelling, sacrifice-devouring flames. So why should I hear this long story from you? I'll learn everything from the Lord himself, my revered husband, the best man. What light is sweeter for a woman to see than to see her man returning from the army, saved by the gods? Give this message to my husband. Let him come home as quick as he can, beloved by the city as he is. And when he comes, he will find his trusted wife at home, just the same as he left her. A faithful guard dog to his halls, an enemy to his ill-wishers, and otherwise all the same. A seal unbroken throughout these long years. For I have not known the pleasures of another man, or anything scandalous, any more than I know how to dip the bronze.
Such a truthful boast is not shameful for a noble wife.
She has spoken for you to learn.
A well-pretexted story for those who can interpret it clearly.
So you, herald, speak. Tell us of Menelaus.
If he has had his homecoming and is safe again.
If he comes with you lot, our land's beloved master.
I can't tell you a good life ends, for you to take comfort in for a while.
Why can't you tell us good news that's true?
The divide between what's good and what's true is hard to hide.
That man disappeared, apart from the Achaean army. Both he and his ships. That's the truth. Did he set sail from Ilion?
Did some storm?
A common pain.
Snatch him from the fleet?
You've hit the mark, and summed up in short, a long tale of woe.
But whether he's alive or dead,
Do any of the other ships know?
No one seems to know for sure, except the sun, that which gives life to everything on land.
then how can you say that it was a storm that came home the naval fleet and brought this to pass to the wrath of the gods?
It's not right to taint a good news day with a bad news tongue. The honor of the gods should keep those separate. Whenever some glum-faced messenger comes to a city, bearing news of a fallen army and unprayed-for pain, it's one common mood to the city. For Ares' double whip drove many men from many homes to war and double bloody destruction. When a man is packed so full of such pains, it's right for him to sing a paean to the Furies. But when good news comes, reports of those saved, to a city already celebrating, then how can I mix the good with the bad and talk about the storm that came upon the Achaeans with the rage of the gods? Those who were enemies before swore an alliance, fire and water. They clasped right hands and made a pact to destroy the wretched army of the Argive. And in the night, an evil, ill wave surged upon them, and the Thracian winds shattered them against one another. And they, gored in the violent storming typhoon, in the surge and in the pounding rain, vanished out of sight in the whirlwind by some evil, unseen hand. And when the light of day dawned again, we saw the Aegean Sea blooming with corpses of Achaean men, corpses of broken ships. But our ship's hull was left untouched. Escaped, given a reprieve. Some god's hand must have been on the tiller. Fortune chose to stand on our ship to save us, so that in Anchorage we did not take on the surging waves, nor did we run aground on the rocky shores. And when we had escaped death at sea and saw the white day, we could not believe our luck. But still, we dwelled on what we had been through. Our fleet worn out and badly beaten. And if there's any of them that's left still breathing, they'll say we're lost. Why wouldn't they? We imagine the same for them. But it might still turn out for the best. For Menelaus especially. First and foremost, you should expect him to return. For if some ray of light finds him still alive, by the schemes of Zeus, who does not yet wish to destroy our race completely, then there's still some hope that he may come home again. You've heard my story. Know that you've heard the truth.
Whoever named her spoke the truth. Was it something that we cannot see with the forecasts of destiny, driving his tongue with luck that named her the spear bride and fought over Helen? Hell to ships, hell to men, hell to cities. She emerged from behind delicate curtains to sail with the wild west wind. Many men, shield-bearing huntsmen on her vanishing oar tracks, beached on the leafy banks of the Cybele because of bloody strife. And to Ilion, the rightly named grief came to pass. Wrath drove it on, revenge for the dishonor to the host's tables and to hearth host Zeus, paying back for the bridal song that should not have been sung, the wedding song that fell upon the bridegroom's family to sing. But the old city of Prime has learned that song and now cries aloud, much lamenting, calling Paris ill-wedded. The city has borne itself a life that is all destroyed, much lamented, fruitless, bloody. He raised the cub of a lion in his halls, robbed of milk but still loving the breast in the quiet preludes of his life. Well loved by children, delightful to the old, having much, held in its arms like a newborn child, bright-eyed and fawning with its hands and its stomach's hunger. And as time passed, it showed its nature, born from its parents, a gift for its upbringing, a gift for the flocks of black bloody ruin. It prepared an unfitted feast. And so, the house was soaked in blood, an unfightable pain for the household, a great many murdering wound. And from this god, a priest of ruin was brought up in the house.
At first there came to the city of Ilion. I would call it a tranquil mind, calm and windless. A delicate image of wealth, soft glances of the eyes, and the heart-biting bloom of love. Then, turning aside, she brought her bitter marriage to an end, ill to her house and ill to her friends, racing towards the children of Priam, sent there by Zeus, Zenios, a bride bewailed fury.
There's no saying among mortal men that the great wealth of a man, when it matures, breeds, and does not die childless. And from this great fortune grows insatiable misery. I am single-minded and stand apart. I think it is the unholy deed which breeds and grows another like itself, only greater. But it's the destiny of just houses to be always blessed